You're indoors, but the wind is blowing. Strobe is the light source, but normal room light plays a very important part in the picture. And if this shot turns out perfectly, it'll be very blurred. We'll be back in just a minute to explain some of the contradictions that Will Ryan is using to create a photograph for the cover of a record album when World of Photography continues.
Today we're at the studios of professional photographer Will Ryan. He's getting ready to set up a shot where he'll break the rules as far as sync shutter speed goes. He's going to purposely set his shutter speed slower than the recommended speed.
Will's session today is with Julie Lieberman. The picture will become the cover for Julie's new record album. Will wants to introduce motion into his subject, both by asking her to move as he's taking the shots and by using a fan to set the light fabric of Julie's outfit into motion. With his slow shutter speed, Will Ryan's pictures will turn all that motion into soft, slightly blurred images. Images that we'll perceive as motion when we view the finished shot.
Out of the circle. I'd like you to really caress the violin more, really hug it. And what's gonna happen is the motion is gonna be a downward motion. So feel like you're coming up. I want you to feel like, you know, the energy is coming up. That's the way it'll look in the picture. Like you're really like coming like out of you look like you're coming out of a big pool of water or something. It's like, you know how when somebody's wet and they come out of water and leaves all this behind them? That's kind of energy that we're going to have. I think it would really be great. Before, when you went like this and you kind of were hiding yourself, there was something very symmetrical about it. You know, the symmetry of this with the shape of your body and everything else around it was interesting because you were moving so much. There's so much movement in it, yet there was the symmetry that it was real. There was a real contrast that I think we should work on. I really like that.
In flash photography, most of the time, blurring or ghost images are not what you want to see. So camera and flash manufacturers have designed their equipment to stop action and freeze motion. Will Ryan is breaking the rules here in a number of different ways. First, he has to make sure that there's enough ambient light without the strobe to create some kind of exposure. Usually, in flash photography, you check to make sure that that isn't the case. Secondly, he has to use a very slow shutter speed, around 1/4 of a second. And lastly, he's going to move the camera during the exposure, which is usually the last thing you ever want to do when taking a shot. Here, though, it's breaking the rules, tilting the camera, using the wrong shutter speed, and having too much extra room light that's going to create the sweeping movement effect that Will and Julie are looking for.
Creating an image on film is not a scientific process to be pursued with meticulous attention to what the guidebooks say. To experiment, to try new things, to have the courage to fail every once in a while, if that's what it takes. Those are the qualities of a photographer that breaks new ground when they break the rules.